Horrible Harry Goes to Sea by Suzy Kline. Chapter 5. Room 3B Set Sail. When we arrived at Essex, we could see the big riverboat docked at the pier through our bus window. It was exciting to see the red, white, and black smokestacks. "I'm sorry about your earring," Mary said to Song Lee. "I bet it fell off when we were rocking on the bus." "I'll look for it when you're gone," the bus driver said as we walked by. "You'd be surprised what I find on the bus." "Thank you," Song Lee replied. Ida changed the subject. "Look," she said, "there must be 10 other classes here. Don't you feel like you're boarding the Titanic? We even have our own green passenger tickets." Song Lee nodded as she pulled her sailor's hat further down over her head. Harry pointed to the top deck. "Let's make sure we get up there so we can see stuff. We want to go first class." "Single file, please," Miss Mackle ordered. Mr. LeFleur followed at the rear of the line with Sydney. He kept calling, "All aboard! All aboard!" Mrs. Burrell was in the middle. She had a first aid kit. As we stepped onto the gangplank, I started to get excited. Just think, we're going on a ship just like the Pilgrims and those people on the Titanic. "And like the pirates," Sid added. "Downstairs, please," one of the shipmen said. "The top deck is full." "Rats," Harry groaned. "That's no fair. I wanted to be on the top deck. That's where the action is." When we walked down the stairs, I made a face, too. "Gee, it's like being in third class on the Titanic." "Most people were," Ida replied, "including my great-great-grandmother. She went third class." Mrs. Burrell smiled as she put a Band-Aid on Mary's finger. Mary's ticket had just given her a paper cut. "Everyone, take a seat, please. We're ready to cast off," the captain announced over the loudspeaker. Harry and I scooted into a row of chairs next to a porthole. "Can you see the water?" I asked. Harry pressed his nose against the glass. "Look, Doug, it's like a war movie. There are floating bombs all over the place." "Bombs?" I pushed Harry aside and looked at the porthole. "Those aren't bombs. They're buoys." "Well, they look like bombs," Harry said in a disappointed voice. "And they look like they're moving." "We're the ones moving," I explained. "All clear," the captain said over the loudspeaker. "You can leave your seats now." Song Lee and Ida jumped up and started walking across the lower deck. "Some voyage," Harry grumbled. "I can't even smell the sea air down here." "Look," I said, peering out the window. "There's a big water bird's nest on the top of that buoy." Harry shined his flashlight on it. "Cool," he said. "Maybe we'll spot another one down the river." "Want to get postcards?" Ida asked Mary and Song Lee. "They sell them on the ship. I want to add them to my collection." "Yes," the girls replied. Mrs. Burrell followed the girls to the souvenir and snack shop. Harry made a face. "Postcards, schmostcards. I want to go on the top deck." "I'll take you there," Mr. LeFleur said. "I'm hungry," Sydney complained. "Can I get something at the snack shop first?" "Tell you what," Mr. LeFleur said. "Mrs. Burrell is over there now. Go get your snack and then join us upstairs on the poop deck." Sydney cackled. He loved that word. "Okie dokie, Dad. See you in a jiff," Sid replied. The crowd slowed us down as we tried to move up the narrow stairway. When we finally got to the outside deck, there were 100 people squished together. Harry and I snaked our way through the crowd to where the anchor was hoisted. "Wow," I said, pointing out 3 things. "Look at the wake the ship makes. See Gillette's castle on the hill up there? Look, there's a swinging bridge up ahead." Harry looked like he had just stepped on glass in his bare feet. "Man, this stinks. There's no room. I can't see anything." "Look at that cemetery, boys," Mr. LeFleur said, pointing to the hill overlooking the river. "Lots of ancestors there." He took a small camera out of his pocket and snapped some pictures. After a while, He checked his watch. "What's keeping Sid? We'd better go check on him at the snack shop." After we followed him to the lower deck, I spotted Mrs. Mackle and Mrs. Burrell and our classmates. They were eating lunch and looking out the portholes. "Isn't Sidney with you?" Mr. LeFleur asked as the ship dipped to the right. "No, I thought he was with you," Mrs. Burrell answered. She was putting a wet towel over Dexter's forehead. While Mr. LeFleur headed over to the snack shop, Harry and I stayed and talked to Dexter. "What's wrong with you?" I asked. "Ugh," Dexter groaned. "He's seasick," Mrs. Burrell explained. "That's too bad," I said. "Hey, Dex," Harry added, "if you can barf, you'll feel a lot better." Suddenly, Maria and Ida screamed. When we looked up, Song Lee was pointing at something floating in the water. "Come and see," they yelled. Harry and I ran over to the portholes and looked. There it was, bobbing in the water, a sailor's hat. The name Sidney was printed on it.